The war in Ukraine has yielded some extraordinary videos captured by drones, especially footage recorded by first-person view, FPV attack drones, a type of highly maneuverable loitering munition used for both reconnaissance and attack, which are operated by a user wearing a headset. These weapons have become so critical to the fight in Ukraine that an arms race between Moscow and Kiev to gain numerical superiority over them is well underway. They have even been referenced as on par with artillery in terms of how important they have become on the battlefield. Now, dramatic footage has come to light that shows Ukrainian FPV drone operators hunting for Russian armor inside a warehouse. Exactly the kind of structure that one would think would conceal and thus protect assets from such attacks. It's another reminder of the democratization of the precision-guided munitions capability that agile and relatively cheap drones turned improvised weapons have brought to the modern battlefield. The footage in question was originally posted on the Wild Hornets Telegram channel. Wild Hornets is a Ukrainian volunteer organization that produces small FPV drones for the Ukrainian military. The accompanying caption to the Telegram post notes that the drones, which can reportedly carry a 2-kilogram, roughly 4.5-pound, payload and cost just hundreds of dollars each, belong to the Ukrainian Bulava strike unit of the Bohdan Khmelnytsky Separate Presidential Brigade. While the precise date of the attacks remains unclear, Open Source Intelligence, OSINT, accounts on X, formerly known as Twitter, have geolocated the warehouses to Staromlynivka, Donetsk Oblast. The village of Staromlynivka sits around 3 miles from the southern front line's Velika Novosilka axis. This is the heart of the FPV drone's operating envelope. It is interesting that the two-way link between the drones and their operators remains intact as they descend inside the building at that range, although they begin to degrade significantly. The 2-minute, 14-second-long video begins with one of the FPV munitions slowly entering one of the warehouses via a large, uncovered entrance. The drone can then be seen hovering inside before smashing into a rare BMPT Terminator armored fighting vehicle. Derived from the T-72 tank chassis, the Terminator is designed to carry a crew of 5 and has origins dating back to the mid-1990s. You can read more about the vehicle, including its weapons and capabilities, in these past war zone features. At the 27-second mark, we see visuals from a second FPV drone, which shows that it was running low on battery life at the time, entering the warehouse from a separate open entry point. The drone quickly dives into a T-72 tank and detonates. A further series of strikes within the warehouse can then be seen, in which another T-72 tank, a BMP-3 fighting vehicle, 2 S-60 anti-aircraft guns, and 2 trucks, reportedly loaded with ammunition, were targeted, the Wild Hornets caption states. Video filmed prior to one of the later strikes at the 45-second mark shows the warehouse ablaze. Towards the end of the video, at around the 1 minute and 41-second mark, we see the impact of the strikes from a distance as the facility billows thick black smoke. In one working day, the fighters of the Bulava strike unit used drones collectively worth $200,000 hryvnias, just under $5,200, and burned tens of millions of enemy equipment. A machine translation of the Wild Hornet Telegram caption notes. The Russians were collecting equipment for an offensive in the south, but Ukrainian pilots tracked them down and shot them with Wild Hornets drones as if in a shooting range. OSINT accounts have pointed to the blasé way in which the Russians chose to store the armor in the warehouse, and how even basic protection could have helped to prevent the strikes. Rob Lee, senior fellow at the Foreign Policy Research Institute, noted how cheap nets over the entrances likely could have prevented these losses. You can read more about how these sorts of standing defenses have been used to counter FPV drone attacks here. Adding to the aforementioned point on the warehouse's lack of defenses, Lee also highlights Russian complacency in leaving this much equipment this exposed so close to the front line, underscoring how drone technology can pose threats on and off traditional battlefields. However, several users have also stressed how the footage underscores just how reliant Ukraine has become on drones, particularly FPV drones, to perform these sorts of missions. Ukraine's dwindling artillery reserves are a massive issue right now, as the US has stopped delivering shipments of military aid, and Ukraine's supporters in Europe have fallen behind their stated delivery goals. Meanwhile, Russia has North Korea, now supplying it with massive amounts of artillery shells.
BMP-3 66 навести в бусоль.
Выстрел! Орудие! Выстрел! Выстрел!